Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're embarking on something pretty profound, I think. We're looking into the divine nature, names and attributes of God.
Yeah.
We've got this collection of sources, mostly scriptural excerpts, and they give such a unique window, don't they, into ideas that have shaped thinking for, well, millennia.
Absolutely. Millennia.
And our mission here in this deep dive, it isn't just about listing things off. We want to kind of uncover the surprising links, maybe some deeper implications.
Sort of shortcut.
Exactly. A shortcut to understanding the essence, the real character of the divine, at least as these texts lay it out.
And what's really fascinating, I find, in these sources is how they build this picture, this portrait of the divine. It's multifaceted.
Right.
They're not just describing actions, what God does, but revealing intrinsic being who God is.
Ah, that's a key distinction.
Yeah. So as we look at these statements, these descriptions, defining God, defining Christ, we'll see how the individual attributes, they're not just separate points, they're more like threads.
Woven together.
Woven into this really rich tapestry. And it does raise a big question, I think. How do these qualities, which sometimes seem distinct, how do they actually connect? How do they form a cohesive, deep understanding?
Okay, good question. So let's maybe unpack this. We could start with some really iconic declarations from Christ that these texts focus on.
Good place to start. The I am statements.
Yes, exactly. That series of powerful I am statements, like take I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources, they present this not just as like a claim, but as this exclusive statement of identity.
Right.
And what feels kind of revolutionary, as these texts suggest, is how it takes abstract ideas, truth, life, and personalizes them.
Yeah, it shifts it.
It shifts the whole thing, doesn't it? From maybe a philosophical search to more like an invitation into a relationship.
Exactly. And when you really delve into those I am statements, you see them as these like fundamental revelations of who he is. So for instance, Christ declaring, I am the resurrection and the life. That speaks to, well, an ultimate authority over existence itself.
Not just over death, but
it's more than just conquering death. It's being the source from which life, even after death, actually flows.
Wow. And the sources link this to sustenance too, right? There's, I am the bread of life.
Oh, that imagery.
Yeah, the image of bread, it's so basic, so fundamental to, physical life. And it's used here for spiritual nourishment. It suggests something continuous, essential, something deeply personal in terms of provision, not just a one-off thing.
And if Christ is bread, for nourishment, these texts also show him as vital illumination.
Light.
I am the light of the world. Precisely. And that means more than just, say, guidance. It signifies the very principle of truth, of revelation, entering a world that's described as being in spiritual darkness.
So it's active, dispelling ignorance, changing how you see things.
Actively transforming perception, yes.
Okay, and here's one that's really striking. I am the door. And it's specific, not a door, but the door. Our sources explain this points to Christ as the single, the exclusive way in.
The only way.
The only entry point into salvation, and also this profound sense of security. Such a powerful metaphor for, unique access.
And that singularity, that uniqueness, it's emphasized even more by the relationship dynamics that follow, like I am the good shepherd.
Right, that follows naturally.
It portrays this active care, even sacrificial care for his followers. It's about an intimate protective bond, the shepherd Christ laying down his life for the sheep.
It's a very personal image.
Very.
And then to kind of round off these specific I am declarations, our sources point to I am the true vine.
Connection and fruitfulness.
Signifying Christ as the source, right? The indispensable source of spiritual life. Any growth comes from him. And then I am Alpha and Omega.
The beginning and the end.
Yeah, signifying his eternal nature, covering everything. But then there's that other moment, that profound declaration before Abraham was, I am.
Yes, that one resonates.
It echoes down through the ages, doesn't it? What's the real significance of that specific echo, especially when we connect it back, like the texts do, to that ancient divine declaration, the one given to Moses?
That's such a crucial link. That I am from Exodus.
Yeah.
It isn't just a name God gives Moses.
Yeah.
It's really a declaration of self-existence,
of
eternal nature. It signifies absolute independence, an unchanging being.
Okay.
So when Christ echoes that, when he says, I am, the texts imply he is consciously, deliberately aligning himself with that very same eternal, self-existent, divine identity.
Transcending time itself.
Transcending time, transcending all created things. It's a massive theological claim. Really powerful.
Wow. Okay, that transition, that actually takes us quite neatly into the broader attributes of God the Father, which these same scriptures highlight. Our sources clarify that God isn't just a being who has love, but God is love.
Yes, his very essence.
Meaning love is his nature, a core part of who he is. And similarly, God is light, implying purity, no darkness at all.
And God is a spirit. That clarifies the divine isn't confined by flesh, by material form.
Which connects to being everywhere.
Exactly. As these texts convey, that's kind of fundamental to why he can be omnipresent. It's a core distinction, that unbound nature compared to our, human experience.
But then we hit what feels like maybe a fascinating contrast.
Yeah.
While he is love and light, he's also described in these sources as the Lord whose name is jealous.
Right, demanding exclusive devotion.
And also God is a consuming fire, which the texts explain as relating to holiness and purification, implying judgment. So how do these, well, they seem like contrasting attributes, don't they? Jealousy, consuming fire. How do those square with God as love within the framework these sources give us?
Well, that's where you have to dig a bit deeper, I think. As these scriptures present it, this jealousy, it's not like a human flaw like petty envy.
Okay.
It's presented as an attribute tied directly to his holiness and his faithfulness. It's this intense desire for an unadulterated relationship, guarding it against anything that would compromise that bond.
So it's about relational integrity.
In a sense, yes. And the consuming fire bit is connected to his absolute purity. It's a force that consumes impurity, not necessarily just to destroy, but maybe to refine, to set apart.
Ah, okay.
It's an aspect of his ultimate righteousness, ensuring justice and purity prevail.
That makes it, well, it gives it a much richer, more complex understanding, doesn't it?
It does.
And this multifaceted nature, it continues with descriptions like, the Lord is my shepherd.
Echoing Christ's role again.
Exactly, emphasizing his consistent care, his guidance. We just talked about that with Christ. And then, the Lord is my rock, fortress, and deliverer.
Yeah, highlighting that unshakable strength, protection, foundational aspects of his character in these texts. Steadfastness.
Indeed. And the texts also bring in a sort of martial aspect. The Lord is a man of war, fighting for his people.
Active engagement.
Yet right alongside that, they emphasize the Lord is righteous and the Lord is holy.
Always doing what's right. Always set apart, pure.
So what's fascinating there is the balance, right? You've got strength, active involvement, but combined with this unwavering righteousness and purity.
Exactly, that balance.
And then, importantly, these scriptures also portray the Lord is slow to anger and of great mercy.
Yes, that's crucial.
It highlights his profound patience, his grace. It offers a really important counterpoint to the judgment and jealousy elements we touched on. It shows a more comprehensive divine character.
Absolutely. And our sources then kind of broaden out, don't they, to a wider range of attributes that define his character and nature even further.
Right, like God being described as omnipotent.
All-powerful.
Meaning all-powerful, yeah. Conveying that, for with God, nothing shall be impossible. It's not just power, but like total power over everything.
Comprehensive power. And paired right with that is omniscient, all-knowing.
His understanding is infinite. No limits to his knowledge.
None. And omnipresent everywhere at once. That quote, "Do not I fill heaven and earth, saith the Lord."
Wow, that points to a being just beyond all physical boundaries. Those three alone, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, they paint a picture of someone utterly boundless, sovereign.
Completely. Furthermore, these texts describe him as eternal.
From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God.
Suggesting a timeless existence, no beginning, no end, and faithful, always keeping his word.
Which is kind of the bedrock, isn't it, for the reliability of all his promises, his actions.
It underpins everything.
And this leads us into his more benevolent qualities. Merciful and gracious.
Slow to anger.
Slow to anger, plenteous in mercy. These descriptions really reinforce that compassionate side, offering profound kindness, forgiveness towards humanity.
And crucially, God is just, a God of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he.
Ensuring fairness.
Exactly. It ensures his actions are always fair, always upright, aligning his immense power with perfect equity. He's also described as wholly, utterly set apart, and unchangeable. I am the Lord, I change not. This speaks to his absolute consistency, his steadfastness, which is, again, central to the reliability of his character.
His goodness is also really powerfully emphasized. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good.
reflecting that inherent benevolence.
And long-suffering, which seems like a deeper kind of patience, enduring patience.
It is. And finally, these texts highlight him as wise.
To God only wise, be glory through Jesus Christ forever.
Indicating this perfect, unfathomable wisdom guiding everything he does.
So if we try to, connect all these dots, bring it back to the bigger picture, what we've really explored today is this incredible, almost overwhelming tapestry.
It is profound, isn't it? Woven together by all these names and attributes.
Yeah.
They reveal a divine being that, as these sources clearly show, is simultaneously ultimate power and absolute love.
Unwavering truth.
And eternal presence.
Yeah.
Unchangeable, yet also merciful.
Our sources put it nicely, don't they? All these truths together reveal the glory of who God is. Not just what he does, but who he is.
That's the core of it. And critically, they underscore that Christ is the express image of God, and in him all these attributes shine perfectly and completely.
So, okay, what does this all mean for you listening? I mean, understanding who someone or something is, it fundamentally changes how you relate to them, right? How you see things.
Definitely.
This whole exploration into these divine attributes, it offers, well, a really rich foundation for maybe a deeper connection, especially when you consider how complex it is, how these ideas play off each other in the texts. So here's maybe a thought to mull over as we finish. If these multifaceted attributes truly define the divine nature, whether that's the way, the truth, and the life, or being omnipotent and being love at the same time, how might your own understanding of purpose or morality, or even just your everyday experiences, how might they shift when you view them through this really expansive, deeply nuanced lens presented in these sources?
That's a powerful thought.
It's a powerful way to re-examine the world, isn't it? It gives you a lot to think about.